My name is Savannah Wiseman. I am a senior in here in Flex. I did my presentation on the afterlife and why people choose to believe in it. Um, when I was coming up with a topic for this, I really wanted something to kind of grab people's attention and really make them think and kind of give different viewpoints in some way. And the first thing that came to mind was the afterlife. There's a lot of different ways you can interpret it and a lot of ways you can take it, and I thought that would be perfect for exactly what I wanted to accomplish with it. Um, so for my paper, whenever I do my papers, I generally try to take the opposite viewpoint of what I actually believe or what I feel most people believe, because I think it gives people a chance to think. So I originally had the idea to try to prove that the afterlife exists, that it's real, and then halfway through my research, I kind of decided that wasn't really fun, that wasn't what I was exactly going for with it, and I decided to change it into kind of disproving it. So that's what my paper was, and this is kind of more like a cynical take on it. But like I said, I don't necessarily believe in that exactly what I was proving. So for my presentation, I really wanted to kind of take a different approach to it and kind of have a more uplifting thing, and really focus on why people choose to believe in it. Just the whole, kind of go deeper than just like, oh, my parents believed in it, so like they kind of raised me to be Catholic or Christian or Jewish or whatever. I wanted to kind of narrow in more so than that, and to kind of really see why people continue to believe in the afterlife after so many thousands of years of it being a thing, why it's still so prevalent in society today. So when I was kind of doing my research and kind of talking to people and figuring out exactly what made people believe in it, I came up with the ideas that it is based on security, uncertainty, and purpose. We're going to redo that because it goes in order. It's security, purpose, and uncertainty. I'm doing this wrong. It's fine. Okay. So, our roadmap for the day, you're going to, like I said earlier, look at reasons why people believe in the afterlife. So it's security and purpose. And uncertainty kind of goes into a different part of it, because that's reasons why people don't believe. I kind of split it up a little bit in my paper for like reasons why. I kind of split the uncertainty up a little bit in my paper. So reasons why people do and don't believe. But for this presentation, I am just going to focus on why they don't believe for uncertainty. And then after that, I will talk about my service learning project, and then the questions if we have any time. So security. What I found is that people continue to believe in the afterlife and in religion in general because it builds a sense of community. People love being around people that are similar to them and who share similar ideas. And there's some kind of psych term that basically says that, like, there's a study found in like research that shows that people like being around people who look like them and act like them and are kind of more similar to them. Just how we find friends is similar interests, and this is exactly what religion does. It puts people who believe similar things, even if it's not exactly, it's similar. They put them in the same place, like it's church or synagogue or something of that nature, and people feel significantly more comfortable. They feel like they have a community that they can be themselves around and who they can express their opinions and their beliefs and not feel threatened. And that is so important in people's lives, to feel comfortable with themselves and with others. And having a community builds your own self-esteem because you feel like, hey, I am right, I can feel like this, I'm doing okay, people do like me, people do agree with me, I'm doing things correctly, I'm doing things right, this is good. And it kind of builds your self-esteem like, hey, I'm alright, So, that is one huge reason. It brings you in line with people who are similar. Another reason is that it provides answers to unknown questions. This kind of goes along with the uncertainty. We're just going to touch on it really fast. There is a ton of uncertainty with the afterlife and religion that people kind of aren't sure about, like, oh, what does happen after we die? I have no idea. There's so many different reasons for it. I don't know. And it's really great to have kind of, not like a concrete, but almost like a concrete answers to those things. Like in the Bible, it says this, this, and this. This is what I believe, and that's comforting people. So going into heaven, it gives people comfort to know that if someone does die, one of their family members, one of their loved ones, that they'll be in heaven, that they'll see them later on, that they'll be there again with them at some point in their lives. And that builds a security blanket for people to know that, like, hey, it's okay to have death and life and all of that in between. So, in addition to just kind of touching on heaven, is the idea of God. God is said to kind of be overall protector, and He's not going to give you anything that you can't handle, and He'll like always be there for you. If you can't handle it, He won't give it to you, and that kind of thing. And so people use heaven and God as a way to feel more secure about their lives. If something's going wrong, they're more uplifted about things, and they're more like they keep hope a little bit better because they think that they will get out of this because God is looking out for them. Something else. So much. You can't see the thing at all, but it's fine. Keep going. So yeah, so God provides kind of a, this you can see a little better, yeah. Thank you. So God provides kind of a security blanket to say everything's going to be better, everything's going to be okay, and people like feeling like that. And then hell actually is build security as well. You wouldn't really think about that, but it does. Knowing that bad people are punished for doing bad things gives people security that, like, hey, I'm not going to be with these people after a certain amount of time, they'll be fine. They'll pay their respects, they'll pay their dues, it'll all work out in the end. And that's really comforting to some people. I don't actually know why, I need to make something up for that still. But it's a thing to know that everyone is kind of like, gets what they deserve a little bit. So yeah, I'm so sorry, can you check what time I'm at?
Yeah.
Thank you.
7.
Perfect, thank you. These are pictures. So, like I mentioned, God kind of gives you like security and stuff like that. This quote says, "Don't give up because God's love and glory is always there and will never ever fail you." And then, like I said, builds community. So this is the community is like a church group of some kind. This represents heaven and hell, kind of the good and bad that people are searching for, and then hoping other people who aren't good go to. So yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, purpose is another big reason why people choose to believe in the afterlife, in religion still today. Purpose. Mm-hmm. So one thing is that it gives you kind of like a lifelong goal. People like making little goals for themselves and feel like they're reaching their potential and they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. They kind of reach their little small-term goals. Well, religion is a big lifelong goal that you're striving for your whole life. Lifelong, yeah. So it's kind of always in the back of your mind, like, oh, I need to be doing this, this, and this to kind of like be able to be a good Christian or a good Jew or whatever and follow my God and follow my religion correctly, and because I need to be able to get to this afterlife and have this kind of life while I'm here. So it gives you kind of like a goal, a little bit of a path to kind of look forward to throughout your whole life a little bit. And then next is the common goal, which is like going back to the community a little bit. I say that a lot. I'm not going to say a little bit that much. Okay, so it goes back to the community I talked about in the last slide. You're able to work with other people who are in your community and in your kind of group of religious people, whatever, to reach this common goal. They kind of boost each other up at times, and that's really kind of inspiring to other people to see, and people really gravitate towards that. And that's like a huge reason why people still choose to believe in the afterlife or in religion and all of that, because it gets people closer together and kind of builds people up and does promote that self-esteem and everything of that nature. Additionally, it gives people someone to live for. So that kind of sounds bad. I don't really know how to say that a different way, but having God and having religion in the afterlife gives people, I don't know what I'm supposed to say with this. Let me see if I have it written down because I don't actually remember. Yep, I don't actually remember anymore. Okay, but yeah, so people want to please others. So if you follow religions, you want to please God and you want to please other people in your religion, so you get the chance to do that. So it gives you a purpose to kind of be good and do things well. Fuck, I'm so screwed with this. Okay, so here's some more pictures. It says God love you, and then it's like someone on their like way to get them to their goal. There's a what else would sign. Woo! Alright. I think I'm going way too fast here, but it's okay. I'm at 10 minutes. It's not awful. That's really bad actually. I could slow down. Okay. So like I mentioned earlier, I really want to focus on kind of why people choose to believe in the afterlife and religion in general, instead of kind of focusing on why they don't. But I really thought it was important to actually touch on that because my paper was all about why it doesn't believe, or why people, how am I going to say this? My whole paper is about disproving the afterlife and the whole existence of it, so I really wanted to kind of tie that in some way, and this is actually the uncertainty that I was talking about, and why people kind of choose to stay away from following different religions and things of that nature. So, it's a quick question for you guys out there. You guys can choose not to answer this, but I'd love if you do. How many of you guys would consider yourself to be religious or spiritual in any way? There? Okay, good. Thank you guys. I just want to make this clear that I'm really not trying to undermine anything that you believe in or trying to discredit any of it or kind of attack any one of you individually. That's not what I'm doing at all. I really just want to kind of show my research to show a different side of thinking about these things that some people have and some people might find interesting. I found interesting. So yeah, don't get mad at me. I'm just trying to put that in for me point. So first of all, the inconsistencies with the idea of God are kind of sometimes make people stray away from believing in an afterlife. So for example, one thing that I found is that So in the Bible it says that the creation of hell kind of started with a clash between Satan and a third of the other angels. They kind of rebelled against God and tried to kind of uptake his power and everything, and God sent them to hell to be tortured and kind of repent their sins for eternity. And there are a few problems with that I found. One of them is that it can be argued that God is kind of acting in a greedy way, in some kind, it's okay, whatever. Is acting in a greedy way because he is trying to maintain all the power for himself and punishing those who are trying to take it from him. It can be argued that Satan and his followers were greedily trying to take power, and since God is punishing them and maintaining all the power for himself and make sure he is always powerful and that everyone kind of understands, like, no, you're beneath me, that he's acting in a greedy way. And since greed is one of the 7 deadly sins, he'd be in the 3rd, 4th, something of that nature. 4th, 3rd, in Dante's thing?
Greed. That's like overabundance?
Yeah.
That's the 3rd.
3rd, thank you. The 3rd rung of hell, if you read Dante's Inferno. So yeah, that's one issue that might come up. Another one with the inconsistencies with God is that it's believed that he is acting against his nature by punishing these people and sending them to hell. It's believed that he's supposed to be, in society today, it is believed that he's supposed to be all loving and all caring, and he's supposed to love or give everyone chances, and he's supposed to care for everyone and things. Am I sending them to hell? Oh, excuse me. Sending them to hell to be like punished and tortured, it really goes against his good nature of wanting to help people and really wanting to be loving and care for everyone, all of his children, you might say. So it is a big issue to some people that he was going against his good nature. And it can be argued, the counter-argument to that would be that his word is law, so why does he have to follow it? But since he is good at nature, he would want to follow his own word. He would want to kind of practice what he preaches, for lack of a better word. So yeah, that's one argument that can be had, inconsistency with God. Another is the idea of suffering. I read a book called The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson. Read it a couple times, actually. It's my favorite book. I talk about the idea of suffering, that if one suffers, it brings them closer to Jesus Christ and his journey of dying on the cross for our sins, and they're able to kind of understand that a lot better, and it brings them like closer to God and heaven and all of that. And that kind of goes against the idea of hell, because hell is kind of a place for eternal suffering and eternal torture. So if suffering is supposed to bring you closer to God, then that doesn't actually work. That's not actually a good thing. So that's kind of very consistent with some beliefs. If one were to believe about the suffering aspect of things. Okay. Another one, this is a really big one, is the inconsistencies with religion. This is actually a lot of what I struggle with when I think of religion and spirituality and all of that, is that there are so many different religions, so many variations of these religions, and it's hard to think that it can be true if there are so many different interpretations and stuff. Just one example is the fact that Christianity stemmed from Judaism. If you look at the religions today, there are different like branches of it, but like the main core religious values of the two, they are completely different in like a lot of ways, like just the ideas of heaven and hell.
16.
Beautiful. Okay. Okay, thank you. The ideas are completely different, just the ideas of heaven and hell. Like Judaism, they don't believe in hell at all, they only believe in heaven. And then I'd say Christianity believes in eternal heaven and hell. So the inconsistencies are really a big factor in the disprovement of religion for some people. Because like, how can it be true if there are so many different things? And it has to be like a personal interpretation, and like, how can that be true? You know, that kind of thing. But I think that's the whole point of what I wanted to get out of this presentation, is to kind of say it doesn't actually matter if it's like really real or not. It's really an internal thing that people have to kind of decide for themselves. And I think that's a really important point that I have found in this whole presentation, this whole research process, is that religion is meant for the individual, not for a big group. So it's whatever makes you happy. That's basically what happens with it. Okay. Service learning. So for my service learning project, I actually had a really hard time with this. I touched on grieving a lot, or a little bit in my paper. I really wanted to do something with that. Hold on a second. Okay. I really wanted to touch on grieving. I really wanted to do something with that, like step in on like a grief counseling session or something and help out in some way, or like help at some kind of funeral home with like families that are grieving or something of that nature. And I called a bunch of places, and you need like years worth of training for, and a year's commitment, or like people were just like uncomfortable with the idea of like a high school student helping. Like it was just a big mess to try and figure out. And then I was thinking about kind of doing some kind of like Day of the Dead party a little bit, because like they celebrate death in a way in Mexican culture. I wanted to kind of teach about that, just to, like show types of grieving. Decided against that, so I just actually decided to call a church, North Hills Church. I actually went there for preschool, which is why I called them. They actually had different service learning opportunities that I could get involved with already, so I decided to kind of partner with them and bring it to the school and kind of bring in. I have items kind of brought in from Flex and around the school to help them, because they're taking it to different organizations and stuff and helping them get supplies that they need. So I was actually really excited about that. I got to kind of go back to where I went to preschool. It was really cool, kind of throwback. So yeah, love that. Okay. My conclusion is basically, like I mentioned earlier, what I've really gotten out of this whole thing, and what I really hope everyone else kind of gets out of this whole thing, is it's really up to the individual. Like it says here, do what makes you happy. It doesn't actually matter what theorists like kind of disprove about it, what people say like, oh no, that can't be true, and like all of that. Is really the whole point of religion, the whole point of believing in the afterlife and stuff, is to build security, is to build purpose for yourself. And that's huge. That's why people have chosen to believe in this whole system for as long as they have, is because it gives them the purpose and it gives them security and it makes them personally happy, and that's what's most important here. And they're at 19. Yeah. So here we are, pretty good. We're just gonna sit here for a second because we have like 30 seconds left. So yeah, it's really a personal thing. That's what makes it important. That's what makes religion awesome. So you keep doing you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so sorry this is so terrible and then you guys stuck here. But thank you. You're all beautiful. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Yay!
I like that.